So now the question you might want to ask yourself, and is it worth getting the iPhone over the previous model, the iPhone 13 Pro Max? In my words, I would say hell yes. So in my impressions, it's thinner and it feels lighter and more easy to hold with my hands and not getting as fatigued as with my iPhone 13 Pro Max. Weight is almost the same, but almost kind of similar. Camera bump's just a little bit bigger. The height is pretty much the same smooth texture. And if you look, the buttons just a little slightly off. Actually, it looks like we got a bigger slot for the 5G antenna on the iPhone 14 Pro Max compared to last year's iPhone 13 Pro Max D. If you notice, the antenna hole is a little bit smaller, or whatever this is you call this. And now when powering off, we get a new sound. What you think about that? Sounds pretty good. All right, now let's turn it back on. And there it goes. Sound back on. All right. So we get a new chime sound. And there is not another phone on the planet that has this new age technology. It's just mind blowing. Now let's talk about the always on display. So when I look at the always on display, whether it's daytime or nighttime, there has been rumors it's too bright for some people. So they are using the focus mode to get a darker, blacker, dimmer screen. But in my opinion, once I lay down and go to sleep, I'm not really looking at my display. It's good to just glance and look over at the always on display if I'm getting up in the middle of the night. We have the SIM tray, and on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, we have no SIM tray. And this is only for USA iPhone models for the iPhone 14. The eSIM, unlike the physical SIM, wait, let me say that again. The eSIM, unlike the physical SIM, lets us add up to 8 numbers. Now, let's talk battery. So we're going to go into the battery. Now we get this new toggle in iOS 16. It's not just for the iPhone 14, but all models down to the iPhone 8, I believe. So most of the phones have it now. Battery percentage like right here. So if you check it out, you can either toggle it off or toggle it back on. But when I go in the always on display, if you notice, we don't get a chance to see the battery. So I decided to put a widget right here. So when my always on display is on, I can still see what my battery percentage is by just looking over and taking a glance. I really enjoy the always on display. A lot of people are saying that they don't really care for the always on display, but I think it's great. Yes, it dims the whole, it basically dims your lock screen, but to me, I actually enjoy it a lot. And just to say about the little myth or rumor that's been going around saying that the always on display impacts the battery a lot. Since having it, the always on display, I've used it every day and basically no battery drain. It hasn't really impacted my battery. So the always on display is great. I don't have any problems with it. Let's get back to the battery, which we already know battery health. This is another thing I've had a few people on Twitter ask me about optimized charging. Now, this is the original official iOS update from Apple. This one's also for Apple, but it's a public beta. And if you notice, we get optimized charging on both, but we also get this clean energy charging feature. This clean energy charging feature is pretty similar to optimized battery charging. So in all reality, I don't turn on either one because I don't like my phone being held at 80% until it decides to want to charge it for me. I want to make my own decisions on my phone. So this is what I do. Now, last but not least, but most important, uh, when we're talking about the battery, where we get 1 to 1.5, maybe 2 days, depending on how much your usage is. Uh, yeah, I find that the iPhone 14 Pro Max uh, has less of a battery life. I don't know, it might be a software thing, knowing that we pretty much have the same size battery, same size. A little, where the resolution is a little high, and plus, like I was saying with the always on display earlier, yeah, that might have a minor impact to it, but I believe it's only like maybe 1 to 5% at the most that impacts your battery. But other than that, we still get it's still a great phone, and I mean that's why I bought it. Uh, I wanted it so I can have an extra phone for like shooting videos. Let me just say it like this: I don't actually use a expensive camera. I'm not gonna go out and buy another camera when I got $1,000 phones that have great cameras. And I actually shoot my videos with my iPad Air 4 because it actually shoots in 4K at 30 or 60 frames per second. So the quality that I get on there when making top-down videos or videos or anything about unboxings or anything like that, I have a tripod with the arm kind um, where I'm actually filming this. So I just want to put that out there. You don't have to go out there and get all this expensive equipment. You can actually make quality videos with what you got already. And the iPad, you already know the iPad Air only has one camera, and I think it does a great job. So, in all reality, you don't have to have no expensive camera. The whole point of technology is to move away from old stuff and go with new stuff. You know, and photography. People are saying now they love to be able to take their iPhone wherever they go and do photography because the cameras are so good on the iPhone 14, iPhone 13. All the latest models since the notch. We all got improved cameras. They're improving every year. I mean, we're getting more and more features every year. You know what what more can you ask for? So I remember back in my days, tape recorders and CD players, and we had to have a flashlight. We had cameras, you know, um, flip phones, which flip phones is coming back out now. It's become popular again. But we had flip phones back in the 90s and 2000, back in the 80s, almost the 90s. While I was in school, I was using a flip phone. Uh, so all of those things, and then also like video recorders. We used to have like these big old video recorders that we used to use. Now, everything that I used to use, and I know I pretty much got off the subject of the iPhone 14 Pro Max, but I'm just gonna say that I got this iPhone 14 Pro Max knowing that it had a 48 megapixel camera. I don't know, all the hype people are saying about, uh, yeah, it's a good camera. No, it's not a good camera. They tricked us and with the sensor and thinking that we got a bigger camera when it's still a 12 megapixel camera on the inside. But you only really use the 48 megapixel when you're shooting pro raw, or and that's pretty much the only time you'll be able to do it is shooting a photo that uses the 48 megapixel camera, but not actually using it on video. So we don't even have that option. So what else can I say? I've been excited about everything. Uh, and when I set up my iPhone 14 Pro Max, I actually set it up as a new phone. I found that downloading and adding the apps after I logged in with my Apple ID made it a little more fun. And so I didn't have to experience all the clutter that I had on my iPhone 13 Pro Max before with all the data buildup and all of that. So some apps I didn't use anymore. So, well, let's talk about the dynamic island. So I made some shortcuts on my home screen. If you see, I have new Safari, message, iMessage. I just wanted to try this out: Twitter, YouTube, photos, Instagram. Um, just trying it out because I wanted to see some animations for things that I didn't notice they had animation for it in the dynamic island. So watch up here at the top. When I open Twitter, I get that little animation at the top up there. Um, and actually YouTube, check out the dynamic island. I get the animation at the top. Some little things that I actually created. There goes Instagram, little animation at the top. So when open up, so we actually get to see the animation of the song with the wavelength. You press on it, and you get your forward, back, pause, and you can skip through the song. And then if we close that out, and it goes right back into the dynamic island. Now press on it, it opens it back up. Close it, it goes back in. So I mean, it's pretty neat that Apple actually gave us something like this. You know, little things sometimes mean a lot to people, and you know we really enjoy. But I like really like this phone. Yes, I still like my iPhone 13, but since we got this new option for always on display, almost the same battery life, pretty much the same battery life, probably in an update, software update or something like that, it might be a little better. But the dynamic island, it hooked me in, it baited me in, and made me want to get this iPhone 14. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. See y'all in the next one. Peace.